I just finished working with a client for a full day where we started to lay out their education for their organization for the next couple of years, like their whole plan. So that included what they're going to deliver virtually, what they're going to deliver in person, a multi-day event, and more. And so when we started, here were three things that we did to make sure that we could stay focused and productive throughout the whole day. So the first thing we did is, well before we met, we determined what did we want to have accomplished that day. We wrote them down and we kept them front and center because everything that we were talking about could easily spaghetti off into a bazillion different routes because these are all goals for the organization. It's all education that is needed in different areas, and it could easily go into a million different projects. So we wrote down our goals and we kept them front and center. And every time we could feel ourselves getting excited or moving away, we would come back to this is what we want to accomplish today. And let's write the rest of this stuff down for later because it was all important. The second thing we did is we used AI to help us think. Now, I love ChatGPT and does not replace my brain, but I will most definitely use it to help. We had done surveys ahead of time and I had a lot of raw data and I wanted to see where some of the similarities were. So I just put it in and asked for some similarities. That gave me a starting point. It wasn't the whole thing, but it gave me a starting point. Took some load off my brain. Also, when it comes to writing, I'm all about the steak, not about the sizzle. And as we started to write breakout session titles and descriptions, I leaned heavy on ChatGPT, put that in there. And then finally, the third thing that really helped us accomplish more without working so hard was to lean into our zone of geniuses. As we started to get further and further down, we started to talk about how were we going to deliver the material and what could some of the handouts and collateral materials look like. And I started to feel my shoulders come up and started to get frustrated because I know that I don't like to do that. I don't like to create those pieces. I like to talk about here's what that looks like. Here's what that timeline looks like. Here's what has to be done. Here are all the parts, but I don't want to create. However, my client loves to do that and was happy to do that. And so as we started to lay out, here are the pieces. Here's when everything needs to be finished. I was in heaven. I could get a spreadsheet. When we started to figure out who was going to do the creation, she was all in. So those three things kept us focused, on track that day. So think about those the next time you're in a full day planning session or a small planning session. How can you leverage your zone of genius and that of your team, AI, and setting the goals ahead of time to get the most out of your time? And when it comes to zone of genius and delegating in general, the best thing that you can do is to take our delegating audit because we'll pinpoint where your strengths, where might you need a little bit of help to make everything run a little bit smoother. So make sure that you take that 15-minute audit.